monsters. They brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. They took my innocence without an alibi. Smoking gun, you got me on the wrong. We know that will come. We're all up till dawn, but how can I hide it without an alibi? It's a lover's fight without an alibi. Took my innocence. I can't wait no longer. I'm playing with the monsters. Everything that brought me alive. Oh, we're all like monsters, playing with the monsters. They brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's without an alibi.
Hey, always the joy. For some reason my mic wasn't set properly. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. I caught myself as I was talking. I looked over at OBS and I saw, oh, there's no audio for anyone. So we're gonna do that again, literally just for YouTube. I'm gonna stop the recording and I'm gonna start recording again. It's gonna feel like you're on TV because I'm gonna welcome you again. Here we go. Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to my live stream. My name is Tyler Ramsby. A special hello to those of you watching the actual live stream happening as it happens. And I do want you to know that I am live streaming right now to 3 different platforms. So you're welcome to join on whichever platform works best for you. I am live right now on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitch. And then as usual, this recording will be posted afterwards on my YouTube channel. So if you have not subscribed to me on YouTube, make sure you go ahead and do that. That is my primary platform. But for today's stream, what I'm going to attempt to do, if my Windows VM wants to cooperate, is we're going to change it up. So we've been doing a lot of Try Hack Me, some Hack the Box. We're going to do some Azure pen testing. Now, I'm sure you've heard of Azure. Azure is like Microsoft's cloud offering. So there's kind of 3 kings when it comes to cloud stuff. You have AWS, kind of the big king. You have Azure, which a lot of corporations use. And you have GCP, which is the Google cloud offering. And I currently do AWS pen testing as part of the pen testing that I do. And I'm moving into learning Azure pen testing. And I want to share with you a platform I found really helpful that is completely free. At least the labs I'm going to do right now are free because I don't have a paid subscription to this platform. And I was super impressed how well done it was. So I want to show that to you all. The only problem is my Windows VM here has been super buggy. So I spent like the past 20 minutes messing around with VirtualBox trying to get it to work properly, and like it's at least working now, but it might break. And if it does, we'll just pivot and do something else. But the lab environment, I'll get it pulled up for you guys. Turn the music down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so it's pwnedlabs.io, if my memory serves me correct. Yes, so this. I stumbled across this on LinkedIn because someone posted a bunch of cloud resources on LinkedIn or learning AWS, and they actually included some of my videos in that. And I was reading through the comments trying to figure out like what are some platforms I haven't heard of, and this is one I hadn't heard of, but I have found it super helpful in the cloud world and a lot more affordable than other platforms. So they have quite a few free labs that cover those different cloud platforms, but if you get a subscription, I believe you can can get access to all their labs, but the subscription is only $20 a month. A lot of the other cloud training costs way more than that for a subscription. So I have found this really helpful. So it's pwnedlabs.io. And once again, the lab that we are going to do is completely free. And I do want to give it this caveat. Usually I dive into things completely blind and you see me stumble my way through it for the first time. I did do this particular lab ahead of time, just actually during the day today while I was at work learning Azure type things. But the VM that we're on right now is not set up at all for Azure. So you will be able to watch me stumble through things because all my tools for Azure pen testing are on my Windows VM on my work computer. This is basically a vanilla VM, not much is on it. So we will have to install a bunch of tools, and I'm sure we'll have some issues in the process as we usually do. But before we do that, I'm going to sign in. And actually just going to stop sharing my screen just for a moment while I get signed in here. Give me just a little bit because I don't have the stuff in this VM. Get that MFA accepted real quick. Oh, come on, Chrome. What are you doing to me, bro? No. Don't open up. Sorry. I'm almost there. It just errored out, so I might have to do the process again. Oh, no, I'm to the dashboard. Fantastic. So here is what it looks like when you are signed in. You can see they have quite a few labs. The free ones, of course, are ones that you can do for free. I don't currently have a subscription, but I probably will get a sub just based on like the quality of the free offerings. And so like we can pick our team, but we can pick our platform. So what I'm learning is Azure. I didn't even know they had web stuff. One second, let me see their web stuff that they have here. Oh, nothing. So maybe that's something they're adding in the new features, web stuff. What are others? Nothing for others? Okay. So still seems like a pretty new platform, but I really enjoyed the Azure labs I've done so far. I did this one, but the one I want to walk you all through is this one because I thought it was so cool. LootExchange Teams in SharePoint with Graph Runner. So we're going to click Start Pwning. And actually, before we even start pwning, we do have to get a bunch of tools downloaded. And well, let's start the lab and we'll figure those tools out as we go. So when we turn lab on, it gives us some initial Azure credentials. So we have Clara Miller and Mega Big Tech 99. And what I really love about this is it gives you a full scenario. So I've done some other labs, like through Altered Security is another spot that offers Azure labs, but they're not realistic. They're very CTF-y, and it's usually like do this one thing. It's not an entire scenario put together. So I really like this platform because of the way it lays out this scenario. So here's our scenario. And I think today I might actually take our notes with the OneNote because I don't have my Kali VM open. So here is our OneNote. So I used to take all my notes here on OneNote. We'll go back to it just for old time's sake. All right, I don't care if you can't sync, dog. And we'll start a new one here. Can I make this leave? Hold up. Let me just sign into OneNote so it stops bothering me with its silly pop-up. Give me just a second. Actually, I don't even know. I don't have that. I don't have my password manager on this computer, so I can't sign into OneNote. So we'll just ignore that warning. So we'll just call this Azure, and then we'll record our notes here as we work our way through it. But we have this full scenario. So here's our scenario. Our red team, that is us, is on an engagement and has successfully phished a Mega Big Tech employee to gain their credentials. That's what we have up there. So far, increasing access within Azure has reached a dead end, and you, that's us, we have been tasked with unlocking further access. In scope is the entire on-prem and cloud infrastructure. Our goal is to gain access to customer records and demonstrate impact. So we have these learning outcomes here. So I'm just going to copy this information and we'll drop it in our notes here. I don't like it that way. Can I just paste just text? There we go. So there's our scenario, and we should probably get our credentials pasted in there as well. We have this for our username and our password. There's that. Okay, that clearly didn't copy. Oh, I copied the wrong thing because I'm really smart. All right, I'll pull it over to the side screen. What up, chat? Lots of people popping in now. Special hello. We got Nox Lumens, we got Josh, we got Teraflops, we got Sats, we got Code with me. Dude, 3 in the morning? Bro, you crazy. Or girl. I don't know if you're a boy or girl. I don't want to assume. Let me check out LinkedIn, make sure I'm not missing anything over in the LinkedIn world. Hey, did you guys see Try Hack Me's release? I don't know if you guys were on my stream last night, but someone's like, yo, Try Hack Me got hacked, and they dropped like a Twitter post, and I looked at it and I was like, it's totally made up screenshots, it's a scam. I even showed where I think they took the screenshots from, and Try Hack Me came out with a post today saying based on their investigation, it's a full scam. No one has gotten root on Try Hack Me. And yo, Try Hack Me should just pay me. I did the investigation for them on stream last night. What up, Zap? Welcome. Today, if you guys are just tuning in, we are switching it up and we're actually doing Azure pen testing if my Windows VM cooperates. I've had a lot of issues with this VM, so if it completely breaks, then screw it, we'll do something else. But so far, so good. We have our lab launched up, but you can already tell we need quite a few tools. In order to interact with Azure, we actually need to install a few different modules for PowerShell. And the way we're going to do that, I'm actually going off memory, so I might totally mess this up, is we need to first open up PowerShell as an admin. All right, I'll make this a little bit bigger for you all so you can see it. Let's do 20. Maybe a little bit bigger. 24. I like that. What's the best resources for Azure pen test? You know, that's what I'm kind of learning myself, and we're going to go through some of those today, so stay tuned. We're going to get hands-on with what I would consider some of the best resources in the stream today, so we'll learn it together. But we have to install module. I think it's just called AZ for Azure. Fingers crossed. Yes, and we'll do A for yes to all. And hopefully it installs. Hopefully it does something. Maybe? What is this? Close that. The other thing we want to install is the AZ CLI, or the command line interface. Let's see how we install it. That's hurting my eyes. There we go. That's going through. Beautiful. Install on Windows. Do we have an MSI? Okay, cool. We do. Latest version. Let's get this downloaded and installed. What knowledge of Azure is required to start with Pentest in Azure? So I would say at least like AZ900 and AZ500 knowledge. AZ900 is the intro to Azure. AZ500 is the security cert in Azure. But then you also just need to know general pen testing. So from my opinion, you don't just jump into cloud pen testing. You need a good solid understanding of like your on-prem pen testing, web app pen testing in particular before you jump to cloud stuff. And then you can apply some of that knowledge over to cloud. All right, how's our PowerShell going? All right, that's still installing. Let's get our CLI installed. This is so we can interact with Azure accounts from the command line interface in addition to the PowerShell module, because depending on what we're doing, one might come in handy better than the other. Might take a little bit though. No, we just stare at it. Turn up the music. We all listen to the music a little bit. Yo, what's up, protagonist? Thanks for popping in, my friend. We're actually doing some Azure pen testing, but what that requires is installing a lot of stuff to our VM. And so it's quite boring right now as we install things. So we're just hanging out, listening to music. I'm getting things pulled up on my side screen real quick. Make sure you don't hear myself talking. I was just pulling up YouTube. Oh, sweet. You have almost 20 people on YouTube. That's awesome. Then a handful of people on LinkedIn and Twitch. This will eventually finish, y'all. I think. I don't remember how long it took, honestly, the first time I did this. We do have the AZ CLI installed. And Chaotic 9993. That's what's up, dude. That's who I was before Papa Shell. But installing things is how you look like a real hacker. Absolutely is how you look like a real hacker. Okay, I think it's just about done. And if you remember right from looking at our scope, there's a bunch of other tools that we want to install here. So we have this MFA sweep. We have Graph Runner. Yo, Graph Runner is one of the coolest Azure tools I have seen. It's super cool, the things it can do. I'm excited for us to dig into it. And then we have some Azure SQL database stuff we are going to do. Yeah, dude. Peace out, Chaotic. Thanks for popping in, my friend. It is not a custom lab protagonist, at least not one that I made. It is a custom lab by this organization. Just discovered this organization over LinkedIn, pwnlabs.io. The lab that we are doing right now is completely free to do. So, yeah. Is this done? Okay, cool. It is done. Beautiful. So we have that installed. And then let's go ahead and install MFA sweep. You know what else we probably need to install is Git. I don't think I have that. Okay, we need to install, like I'm telling you guys, this VM has nothing on it. So let's get Git installed. I'm trying to think what other tools we might need on a fresh VM. What up, Overgrown Carrot? What are we working on? We are doing Azure pen testing today. All right, that all looks good. Yeah, so Overgrown Carrot, I discovered this platform, dude, called pwnlabs.io, and they have all cloud stuff. And I've done quite a few different like cloud labs. This is the most realistic, the most fun that I've stumbled across. And the labs I'm doing today are completely free because I don't even have a subscription or a paid subscription, so anyone can join along. But I'm on a totally fresh VM. I wonder if I need to open new PowerShell. Totally fresh VM, so there's nothing installed on this Windows VM, so we need to get everything installed so we can work. All right, there we go. All right, now we can look at MFA sweep. We'll copy that, and let's go to desktop, and we'll make a directory for tools, and we'll go to tools, git clone, and drop our information in here. All right, so we can import module MFA sweep PS1. So we have it imported. And if we just do, well, let's look at how the proper use case of this. So MFA sweep is a PowerShell script that attempts to log into various Microsoft services using a provided set of credentials. And remember, we have those provided set of credentials based on that phishing attack that it talks about in the scenario. What's my Twitch username? My Twitch username is HackSmarter. I'll drop you a link. If you go to hacksmarter.live, you'll come across the Twitch. So depending on how conditional access policies and other multi-factor authentication settings are configured, some protocols may end up being left single factor. It also has an additional check for ADFS configurations and can attempt to log into the on-prem ADF server if detected. So currently it will log into Graph API, Service Manager, Microsoft 365, because if there might be MFA enabled on a bunch of those, but if we can find a service where MFA may not be enabled, we might be able to poke in and get access as this user. So that's the goal. And you can see our syntax right there. Pretty easy syntax. Can I just throw this to the side? So if we follow the syntax, invoke MFA sweep username, and then we want to get our username from right here. And then I think just password, right? Password, and we'll drop in our user's password. So this script can attempt to determine if ADFS is configured. Yeah, we'll do that. And it says it's about to attempt logging in 10 different times. So this is noisy. So this is a red team exercise, and we want to be a little bit slower about this so we don't raise a bunch of alerts. But of course, it's a lab environment. That's fine. We'll just say yes. Go ahead and try to log in. And it's going to try to log into all these different services and tell us if MFA is enabled. Ken over on Twitch said, PowerShell is available on Mac and Linux. Would this work directly from those environments, or do you absolutely need a Windows VM? So I've done both, right? So at work, I run Ubuntu as my main OS, but as I've been learning Azure, although there is PowerShell for Linux or PowerShell Core for Linux, there are some things that just don't work very well when I try to run it straight from Linux. So even at work, when I'm doing Azure, I'm using a mix of Linux and Windows, but generally for some of these PowerShell scripts, they work a lot better on Windows is what I can say. Not saying you can't make them work on Linux or Mac, but from my experience, they just work nicer on Windows. But here we have our results. So we see that single factor is enabled on the Graph API and the Service Management API, so that we can authenticate to the Graph API without MFA, which Q, the coolest tool I've seen, created by, I believe, Black Hills InfoSec, called Graph Runner. But let's drop this in our notes here. So let's check out Graph Runner now. This is such a cool tool, y'all. Graph Runner is developed by the second coolest pen testing company. First being Rhino Security Labs. Second, I'll give to either BHIS or TCM Security. They can fight over it themselves. But this is a super cool tool. Let's actually grab it real quick, and then we'll read through a little bit of the wiki so you can see everything that it can do. All right, we'll want to import our module. Import module, Graph Runner. Okay, cool. So if we go over to the wiki here, can I turn on dark mode or something on vanilla Chrome? There's like a dark, isn't there? Oh, dark. Oh, beautiful. Oh, does it not apply to GitHub? Do I have to manually change GitHub? All right, whatever. We'll just let our eyes bleed. So Graph Runner is a post-exploitation toolset for working with the Microsoft Entra ID. Now, here is something Microsoft recently changed. You may have heard something called Azure AD. Azure AD is their IAM management, or their identity service for accessing Microsoft Azure services and Office 365 and stuff. Well, they just recently changed the name to Entra ID. So if you know it as Azure ID, every time you see Azure ID, think of Microsoft Entra ID. It contains various tools for accessing and manipulating data within the tenant. A Windows system. Oh, yeah, you're right. It is Windows system. Is it display settings or is it like theme? I think it might be theme. Yeah, theme and related settings. Then we can turn on dark mode. Maybe colors? Themes? Color? Dark. There we go. Much better. Now our eyes won't bleed. So there's 3 different ones. These are the ones I use. There's some cool stuff you can do with it, but let's just walk through some of this. So if we go to authentication, we first need to authenticate, and we can do that with get graph tokens. It's going to prompt us for our user. So we'll just copy that, and we can paste that in there. It's going to give us this device login. So we need to actually grab this URL and go to it in our browser, and then drop this code in there. Now we're on the dark web. You're right, Ken. Yes, it's me, bruh. Let's go to our user account. Okay, and we should get our token now. Beautiful. So it set it to our token variable. So now if we go back over to this right here, after running that, perform a device code, blah, blah. So we did that. And then we can refresh it. We don't need to do that. There's some different things we can do here. But if we look back at our scope, we need to do some data pillaging, which is the coolest thing this offers. So it says use MFA Suite to identify Microsoft services where MFA hasn't been enabled. So we can mark this off. We completed that. Use Graph Runner to export data from SharePoint, Teams, and Exchange Online. So let's first look at SharePoint. So if we go to our pillage models right here, here you can search mailbox. We want to do SharePoint. So here's SharePoint right here. So invoke, search SharePoint and OneDrive. Tokens, we pass it our token, and then our search term, right? I'm just going to search for password, but we'll grab this full command here. But let's just change this the password so we find everything possible. And the tokens is just the Graph API token we already authenticated with the credentials that were supposedly phish, at least in this scenario. So using Graph Runner, let's see if we can pillage some data from SharePoint and OneDrive. Okay, look, we found one match for the search term password. It's the file name finance logins, which sounds good. We have the full location to the SharePoint. We have a file preview, and it says, do we want to download the files? Well, of course we want to download the files. And it says enter the result number of the files you want to download, where our result is 0. We just have that one, so we'll do 0. Do you want to download any more files? No? All right, so we have that. Let's open it up in File Explorer here on Windows. We'll go to Tools, Graph Runner, and Finance Logins. And there we go. We've already discovered some data. So we have the finance database. We have our accounting software, payroll system, bank portal, expense reporting. And hey, when you guys see something like this, before I became a pen tester, I always thought this isn't realistic. Organizations don't just store their passwords in Word documents. Oh, yes, they do. You would be amazed on an internal pen test how often I see this. Almost every assessment where you discover a document like this that literally just has a bunch of passwords for a bunch of software, even very sensitive software, just in clear text, because they just assume, well, no one's going to get to it. No one's going to find it. Oh, yes, we will find it. So this is actually very realistic what we are seeing right now by pillaging through SharePoint and OneDrive looking for passwords. We see this in the real world quite often. So we have some information here. We'll just leave that pulled up. But we have that, and we'll see if we can do anything with it. I guess we could. Let's go ahead and just copy it so we have the information. And we'll drop that over in our OneNote here. And I'll just make a separate one. And this is where I really like Cherry Tree a lot more. I can use the hotkeys a lot easier than I can here. We'll call it financial login data, and we'll make it a subpage. And we'll just drop the information there. So now we have it saved. Now we can close our finance logins. Okay, so if we go back and look at our scope though, so we have SharePoint data, we have our financial logins, that's good. We might come back and use that data. And it says Teams. So you can imagine organizations use Teams. You can also imagine users are sharing passwords over Teams. So we can actually use Graph Runner to pillage that data. And I'll show you how we do that as well. Let's go back to the docs because RTFM. And if we scroll down a little bit, immersive file reader, invoke search team. So here we go. Invoke search teams, tokens. We pass it our token. We give it our search term, and we can give it a result size. So very similar to the OneDrive one, but let's go ahead and copy this, pull up PowerShell, drop it in there. Okay. So we have some more information here. We have this message from Clara Miller, which is, of course, us. And we have a password, openme123, which seems to go to a document. Call IT to reset my password for accounting system, blah, blah. So for now, let's just copy all this information. Teams password is what we'll call this. And actually, so I told you guys, usually I go into these completely blind, but I did do this scenario earlier today on my work computer, not my personal computer, so I had to reinstall all the tools. This OpenMe123 is actually for a file I missed initially. So the way I did it now is the way I did it when I attempted it, was just looking for passwords. But there's actually another file. It doesn't have any standing in the scenario, like it. By not finding this file, it does not affect whether or not you complete the task, because I completed the whole thing without finding the file. Then I read through and said, oh, I missed this file. So I want to actually show you this file that I missed, where this password goes to. So if we go back to our OneNote, it was, I think, bonus information. Let me try that. Okay, yeah, so we have these bonuses, confidential. Do you want to download any of these files? Yes. And 0. And this is actually where that password we just found goes with this confidential file. And I didn't even look at this myself earlier today. I just skipped it because I saw it in the walkthrough afterwards. So we'll look at it. Maybe there is something there. Taking a little bit to download. And we'll see if we can figure out some bonus information. See who's getting bonuses and who, well, is not. Do you want to download more files? No. So now if we go back to our File Explorer, Desktop, Tools, Graph Runner, we have our bonuses. Oh my god, I don't even have Excel, bruh. I'd have to go download like an open source file reader. I could put it in Gmail, I suppose. Okay, let's just see if that works. I think I'm logged into my demo account. I'll go back to share my screen in a moment. Just want to see what Gmail I'm logged into. Oh yeah, this is my demo Gmail with all my spam email for YouTube videos. Okay, so here, let's just see if I can upload this file. We'll do file upload and we'll grab it from our desktop, tools, graph runner, and bonuses confidential. Okay, so if we go back to our password we found, this OpenMe123 right here, this is actually the password for this file so that we can open it. I think. Yeah, it did. So we have, what was our goal? Our goal is to find financial data, wasn't it? So this is actually a win, I suppose. Your goal is to gain access to customer records. Well, this is still definitely sensitive information you don't want to expose, right? We can see who is good. Oh, Clara Miller, that's us. 0, improve. Remember, she was phished, so look at her feedback. Improvement needed in security protocol adherence. Yes, I would say so. Improvement is needed there. Results fell short. Performance did not meet expectations. Can I edit it? Oh no, probably not. It's probably just gonna bug out. I was gonna add Tyler Ramsby and give myself 1337 for the comment, lead his hacker around, but I guess I won't do that. You guys will just have to take my word for it. Okay, so we have our confidential data. And we pillaged our team stuff. I think the next thing was email, wasn't it? Teams, so we're done with teams. We can cross that out. We pillaged our team's data. We have some passwords from there. And now we want to look at Exchange Online. So we can actually go through user email boxes and see, hey, what information can we find in the user that we compromised? Okay. Looking over at chat, Protagonist said, this is kind of blowing my mind. I knew that Graph API was bad, but seriously. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Dig into it. It's fascinating stuff, because what might happen is often you'll see MFA enabled elsewhere, but it won't be enabled on something like Graph API. I actually did this on my own Azure account. So like, Rhino has an Azure account we use for testing, and I have an account in the Azure account that's a global admin. And from a low privilege user, what I ended up doing is I made a malicious app that pass OAuth authentication. So when you signed in, it looked like a legit app. It has a Microsoft domain and everything. But when my global admin signed into it, what would happen is I stole their access token to my low privilege user, and then I was able to authenticate to the Graph API as the global admin without requiring MFA, where normally MFA is enabled on my global admin. So this Graph API stuff is crazy, y'all, when you dig into it. Toastcat said, why you hacking, man? Explain yourself. Dude, I'm hack the planet, bro. No, this is a lab. I'm not hacking any real organization. I'm a pen tester for a living. So I hack companies for a living before the bad guys do. We're not actually hacking any real companies right now. This is a controlled lab. We're not breaking any laws. We're just learning. Okay. So invoke search mailbox. So similar thing, we're going to pass it our Graph API token, and then any search term that we want, and the message count 40. We'll literally just use that exact syntax right there. Clear our screen, drop it in, get a drink of water. You actually see we have some information here. We have a message preview, and it doesn't allow us to download it. It bugs out, but I think we have enough information right here. So let's look at this. We'll just on this main page. So this is from our email information. Yeah, Toastcat, you're right. So they are called bounties. So what I do, Toastcat, is like, this is my, I don't do this for bounties. Like I work at a 9 or 8 to 5 is my day job, but different big companies hire us, like banks, hospitals, you name it, hire us. And we do everything the bad guys do before the bad guys do it, and then we create a really detailed report for the company, and we tell the company, hey, here's how we stole data from you. You might want to fix this before, Russia does it to you next, right? Before the real bad guys, the real bad threat groups do it to you. Fix this stuff. So we do it before the bad guys do, and we help companies secure their data. But to do that, we have to know how to think like the bad guys. We have to know how to break into organizations, how to exploit things so that we can help organizations secure their stuff. But okay, we have this. Now, if we go back to our goal, it says your goal is to gain access to customer records and demonstrate impact. And here we have a database that might have customer records on it because it's finance reports. So we might think credit card information or things like that. And we have a username that was being stored in an email. So for some reason, we can't download the email and look at it. Do we have a... So it looks like Sam Olson sent this to our person. I forgot who we were. But with this information. So just sending emails or sending passwords in an email, just assuming this will be safe. It's in the user's inbox. Like it's not going to be exposed. No, it is going to be exposed. And now if we look at, here, OneNote. We have our username of finance report. So let's just break this down. We have a password for our username, reporting123. We have the name of a server. And we have the name of a database. And I think Clara is just our person. So we have 4 pieces of information. Now, if you think about Azure, this seems like an Azure database, and the most common database is the Azure SQL database. Now, when I was looking at the walkthrough for this is actually a part where I got stuck, to be fully transparent. I couldn't figure out a good way to connect to this, and in the walkthrough, they use a bunch of like magical PowerShell commands, and I thought there's no way I'm going to know the PowerShell commands. There has to be an easier way to connect to this, and I assure you there is when I did some Googling. So I want to show you this isn't the way they show you to do this in the module, but I'm going to show you the way I did it, and I think the best way. I think it's called Azure Data Studio. I think I'm going off memory. Yes. Dude, peace out, Protagonist. Thank you for stopping by. Have fun at work. And we will go ahead and download Azure Studio now. This just gives us a nice GUI so we can connect to the database and see what information might be there. We'll do our user installer. Give it a good 20 seconds to download. Let me pull up chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. Out of curiosity, for y'all in chat, you guys ever done Azure pen testing? Is this brand new to you? Is this boring to you? Like, what do you think about some of this cool Azure stuff? I think it's cool. Hope this doesn't take too long to download. Yeah, it shouldn't take too long. All right, let's launch it. And we should, I think, be able to use this connection information, connect to this database. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, thank you, Toastcat. I appreciate the kind words, my friend. Let's go ahead and create a connection. And so we have our Microsoft, I think we need, yeah, Microsoft SQL Server will be fine. We need our server name, which I believe we have that information. Let's pull up our OneNote. So we have our server right here, their finance server. We're going to pillage some data from it. Authentication type here is going to be SQL login. You can kind of tell that based on our login information. It's not an Entra ID login, and it's not, of course, Microsoft authentication. So let's go ahead and grab our username here, finance reports. Make sure you don't have the extra space. Grab our password. And then our database, wasn't that just called like finance or something? Yeah. Everything else looks good to me. Let's click connect. Boom, and we got to a database called subscribers. Let's double click that, I think. It's loading. I think we might want to actually... Let's see if we can edit data so we can see it. Boom. And look at all the information we would have if we were real threat actors. We could go sell this on the deep web right now. Right? We would have just stolen a bunch of people's super sensitive information. We have their credit card number. We have their expiration date. We have their security code. We have their full name. We have their date of birth. And we could go take this right now, sell it on the dark web, make some cash. And this company is going to be in a bunch of trouble if a real threat actor was able to find this information. And then, of course, this was to demonstrate impact. We have our final flag right here so we can complete the scenario. So let's copy that flag and go back to our lab page right here. And let's enter in the flag. Submit. Boom. We have successfully completed the challenge. For those of you on stream, don't sign off. We're going to do another one. But for those of you watching the recording on YouTube, this is the end of this video. But don't worry, when this video is done, just jump to the next one and you can keep on learning right along with me. Peace. All right. Now I'm just on stream with y'all. Just wanted to stop that portion of the video for YouTube. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I found this super cool when I was working through it. I'm so excited to do some Azure pen testing on real client infrastructure in the near future. But we're going to do some more, y'all. We have more scenarios we're going to work through on Azure. So should we keep going? I think so. The next one I want to show you is one using, if you've heard of Bloodhound. So if you're used to Active Directory hacking, I'm sure you've heard of Bloodhound. Well, we're going to mess around with Azure Hound and Bloodhound, and we're going to map out some attack paths that way. Another really cool way to do it, quite complex as well, but just want to point out to you guys, this lab is free. You don't even need a subscription to this lab to learn this stuff. They have a subscriber thing, but this is the best Azure pen testing labs I've been able to find. So I've really been enjoying them. Before we dive into the next part of this and we start a brand new module, let's take a 5-minute break. I'm actually gonna click out of some things here. Let's take a 5-minute break. I'll come back in 5 minutes. We will dive into another module and continue our hacking journey. So I'll throw up the countdown, give you guys some music to rock out to, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. And during the 5 minutes, yo, tell a friend to tell a friend, invite your friends to be here. We'll be back.
Voices going through my head. These voices telling me what I've said about you, about everything we do.
I'm shit too.
Let's watch some techniques. I will free myself from all you, yeah.
And it is time. What is up, everyone? For those of you welcome, what up? Jeez, I cannot talk. For those of you watching on the live stream, welcome back. For those watching the recording after the fact, this is a brand new video. Good to have you here as well. What we have been working on is learning all about Azure pen testing. We've been going through a really cool website called pwnlabs.io. We just finished doing some cool breaching stuff where we stole some credit cards to find the final flag. And in this stream, we're going to work through another scenario that's going to teach us some of the basics of recon. When you get initial access to an Azure environment, how do you perform recon? How do you figure out where you're at? How do you get kind of your standing? And then how do we figure out what lateral movement we want to do to accomplish our goals, to accomplish our objectives, to get however deeper into the client's network that we can get. So let me share my lab without any further ado. Share my lab. I really can't talk, y'all. Share my screen without any further ado. And here we have Azure. The lab I want to work through is, we just did this one, Loot Exchange Teams in SharePoint, which is really cool. There's, am I blind? Intro to Azure Recon with Bloodhound. This one is really good as well. Let's start our lab. There we go. Teraflop said, this Azure stuff is all new to me, just watching to see. Love your enthusiasm for hacking, even if I don't care for Windows. Yeah, so like I said, I use Linux as my main OS for work, but you need to know both of them, because when it comes to Azure, even Active Directory, some Active Directory attacks can only be performed from a Windows system. So my last internal pen test, I had to use my Windows VM and my Linux VM to hack. So I prefer Linux, but you do need to be comfortable with both of them, especially PowerShell and the CLI in both of them, depending on what pen test or what assessment you are working on. So we're given some credentials again. Let's grab our notes right here, and although I already have an Azure one, we're gonna make Azure Recon maybe, just to keep things organized. So let's look at our scenario. After discovering that a public company GitHub repository contained accidentally committed credentials, which is also quite common, Mega Big Tech has requested us, the Hack Smarter team, to investigate the extent of potential exposure. They want to determine if these credentials can be used to access their cloud environment and if any confidential data is at risk. So these are the credentials that were committed to that. So let's go ahead and grab some of this information down. Grab our password. Right, and we have access to the portal as well, so we'll keep that in mind as we perform our enumeration. And so let's try to look at the learning outcomes, just do this ourselves. We'll copy this stuff, and if we get stuck, we'll look through the walkthrough part of it. So here are our tasks, right? I'm just gonna number these. Here's our goal. What up, Hua Sahib? Good to have you here, my friend. So first we need to set up Bloodhound, which I don't think I even have set up in my Kali VM. Here is where we might have some issues, y'all. My personal computer only has 16 gigs of RAM, and running 2 VMs and streaming on OBS might literally make my computer melt. I really just need to add more RAM to it. So my computer might melt, and the stream might die, and everything might disconnect. I have no idea. But we're gonna see what happens, y'all. Let me adjust some things on my Kali VM. I'm actually gonna lower the resources on my Kali VM to see if that stops my computer from melting. Jeez, I hope this doesn't kill everything, because we're gonna run Bloodhound from Kali, and we'll transfer our data back and forth. All right, y'all. Let's see if it's gonna melt. If my stream disconnects, it's because my computer couldn't handle it all. Yeah, for real, I need to download more RAM. My work computer has 32 gigs of RAM, so I can run a bunch of stuff on there, but this one only has 16 gigs. This is like the graphic card on this thing is a beast. I use this for gaming. Super high-end graphics card, but not a whole lot of RAM. So far, so good, though. We'll see if we can get Bloodhound configured. need that open right now. I want to see if I have Bloodhound on here. Shoot. I remember having this issue in one of the Try Hack Me streams. What's going on my phone? Oh, my phone's telling me to stream on Twitch. Alright, so, Is it remove? Docker is definitely installed. I wonder if I fully uninstall it, if that will... will do it for me. Here's where we get to play around for a little bit, see if I can figure this out. Otherwise, this stream will just be me doing this. Okay. Yeah, I'll do a Q&A stream if this totally fails, but I forgot that my Docker on my Kali machine was already like all messed up. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. I think this might work. It's called docker.io. That's where I was confusing myself. Hold up. Who the heck is calling me? 1 second. I'm going to turn off my mic. Alright. I was hoping, so it sounded like a scammer, and I was really hoping it was. If it was like a text scammer, I was going to turn them on speakerphone and have them join our live stream, but they hung up on me. We almost had a special guest on the live stream. That would have been a lot of fun. Maybe next time. Why does this not work? I did that. I did see that. I actually did the full AWS pathway, Sahib, on Try Hack Me. I have a live stream of it. Oh. Hey. I fixed it. Oh, ha! Good call. So guys, all I had to do I had this broken daemon.json, but I had to do sudo docker d. Thanks guys for telling me my screen wasn't up. I get too excited that I don't share my screen. That's all I had to do. So if anyone else has that issue, you have to start the docker daemon that way. Now we have it. We also have to do sudo apt install docker compose, I think is what it's called. Do I already have that? Okay, cool. Now we can configure Bloodhound. And I don't know if you guys have seen, not the dog. I don't know if you guys have seen the new community edition of Bloodhound. It is amazing. All right, like super cool. Super easy to install, super easy to use as long as you get your Docker configured properly. So this is all you need to do. Once you have Docker Compose installed, this is just the command we need to run, right? So we'll go here. I might need to sudo it though. We'll just sudo them both. I'll eventually get it. There we go. And now we're pulling it down. We'll be able to launch Bloodhound. We'll download our Azure Hound data ingester is what it's called. We'll hopefully be able to transfer it to our other machine. Maybe. I don't know if I have my VMs configured right to do that. But we can just download it here. While this downloads, let's go back to our Windows machine. And let's do Azure Hound. It's just a CLI. Or a .exe rather is what I'm trying to say. Azure Hound Windows AMD. Maybe we could just run it from Linux too, I'm not sure. I'd assume you could since we have the Linux binaries too. Just gonna copy that out of there and we'll go to tools and just drop it in our tools directory. And I actually have to look up how to use Azure Hound. This is what we want to do, I think. Something like this. After we connect via the AZ CLI, I think. Let's see if we have this installed yet. Oops. So, yep, we have our initial password set. It's going to prompt us to change that. But if we go to... Oh no, everything's breaking. There we go. Localhost 8080. We have our information here. Admin, I believe, is the default. And then it's going to be this password right here. Yours is going to be a randomized password if you're following along. You just have to look at the logs here to find the correct password. And when you log in, it will prompt us to change it. I hope it works. Oh no. Oh no. You guys see my CPU right there? It's gonna break. I killed it. We crashed our Kali VM. Oh, is it gonna live? It lived! Oh no! Is it gonna live? The intensity. Oh no, it exited. Login failed. Login failed. Why is login failing? I might have to tweak some settings on my Kali machine. I don't know. It just takes like too much for me to do that. For me to run it. I think default's admin, right? Yeah, so Bloodhound is a way to map out attack paths for AD is when I've used it. So what Bloodhound does is it allows you to ingest all the data in the Active Directory environment, and you can very quickly locate different paths and how you can get to a domain admin, how you can compromise workstations, and helps map out the attack path for you and help you exploit those. Oh, so the new Bloodhound takes so much resources. That might be the issue I'm running into. So it is admin. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to need that password. But I closed out Firefox. Oh, I still have to open it to log in, though. I'm going to try this one more time.
Some days there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Some days I'm not myself. There's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. It might take some time, but
Is that all it needs to do?
moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
Fingers crossed. Look at that. You guys see that CPU just shoot? Oh, we got in! Oh!
I know times are tough, but I've had enough. I'm moving on.
Is it gonna work? Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. We got in. So now we would download the ingester, but I already have the ingester there. So okay, we have that. Let's go back to our Windows machine and look at how we do this. So we need to first authenticate, I believe, with the AZ CLI. With that, I think is AZ login. Let's see if I'm right. I am right. Beautiful. We're going to use another account because our initial access now is this. This is what was committed to the GitHub. And our password. Sign in. Beautiful. And we're given our tenant ID. We're going to need that, I think, based on the syntax here. So we'll just pull up our handy dandy notepad. And if we go back over to here, let's look at the syntax. So this right here. Actually, what we just need is a second half. So we would want to do our username. We'll just go up here and copy it right there. And our password right there. Then our tenant is going to be this tenant ID from our initial authentication. I believe. I could be wrong. We'll just see if it works. Endure. And now Azure Hound. Oh, we want to save the output though. Was that just -O? Yeah, I want to save the output. Ha ha ha! It's working. We have the loot. We have to transfer that to our Linux machine. We'll just open a notepad, and I'm going to transfer it by copy and pasting it. Because YOLO. Go here. Alright, we got our loot. Now we're going to ingest that into Bloodhound. We'll go up here, click Administrator, click Upload File, drop our loot in here, Home, Azure, Loot, Open, Upload, Upload, boom. Let's check our data quality, all Azure tenants, and it didn't work. Okay, that's not good. We should see data here. Oh no, it's still ingesting. All right, no, it's not done ingesting yet. We'll give it a little bit. In the meantime, what's our objectives again? There we go. Now it's done. Setting up. Hey, we did that. We can mark that off. Success. Collect Azure data using Azure Hound. Maybe success. Success. You guys see we have service principals, apps, groups, and everything now. All right, so success on that too. Success. Using Bloodhound to get situational awareness. All right, so we have a user that we have pwned. Oh, Elielson is saying, good night, bro. Good night, dude. Peace out. If we go out here, I like to think about this as like Google Maps for hacking. We have a user, we want to see where we can get to. And our user is this person. So we're going to mark them as own. So there they are. And when we click them, we can very quickly see a bunch of information like what members they are, of what groups they are. But let's right click them and mark as own. Like we have owned this person. Good. So now from here, a few things that stand out to me is we are a member of IT Help Desk. Let's see what other roles we have here. Okay, so if we look at Jose, that's who we are. They have a few interesting roles. They are part of this update manager at Default Directory. They are part of the IT Help Desk, which we can imagine if they're an IT Help Desk, they might have some access to some interesting things if they're an IT employee. They're a printer technician. For that, I feel sorry for them. We have directory readers, attribute assigners, attribute definition. The IT Help Desk, what you really want to look for is Azure is often secure by default. So AWS has a lot of misconfigurations that if you're not careful, you'll make. Azure is a lot harder to make misconfigurations. So in your pen testing Azure, you want to look for groups that are not normally built into Azure. Custom groups the organization has made, because those might be the most juicy. So if we look at printer technician, we can see this enabled true is built in true. We want to see groups that are is built in false because it means it's a custom group. Directory reader is built in, probably secure, built in. Help desk. Is this built in? Oh, it doesn't say, because it's the actual group there. Update manager not built in. Allows help desk staff to update the manager role when users change teams. I'm not sure if that's going to be handy, but let's take a screenshot of that. I'll go like that, and I want to highlight this right here, and I want to highlight the description. And let's drop that in our notes. So that's interesting. The other thing we can do is there's different ciphers that you can do. And we have built-in ones for Azure. If we hit this folder right here, we can go over to Azure and we can check some of this out. So if we can get global administrator, if you think about the Active Directory environment, domain admin's kind of the king. When it comes to Azure, the global admin is the king. And actually, if you compromise a global administrator, you can usually pivot into the internal AD network and compromise that as well. So who are our global admins? We have... Oh, this is external user. I don't think that's part of it. We have Edrian, right? So if we can compromise Edrian, we know we have this down. So let's go ahead and take a screenshot of that as well. And we'll drop that in our notes. Yo, what up, Iron Chef? Good to have you here. And let's see what else we have. All members of high privilege roles. Do we have anything there? That's Edrian. We have Ishar as a user administrator, so they'd be able to modify roles that way. What about this? Do we have anything here? Shortest path. So we don't have any of these users owned, so we can't do anything with that. Let's go back to our Pathfinder. And do we have a path to global admins? No, we don't. Not that way. We have some situational awareness. Maybe that's all we need to do. We know who the global admins are. We know, like, the key here, I think, is we are part of this IT. Jeez, what the heck was that? I think my cat knocked something over. We're part of this IT help desk. So let's, at this point, remember, we have access to the Azure Council. So let's go to Azure Login. And let's log into the portal as our compromised user. And let's poke around at the portal. Hey, we have them right here. I think because we use AZ logged in, it saved it. Okay. So we have this. So if we look at this right away, this is interesting. We have a virtual machine called Security PC. Let's click that. And do we have... Go back. If we have reader access to it, which it looks like we do, we can check a few different things on here. And one thing, maybe it's configuration. There's a spot. So if you think about cloud VMs, you can actually see this in AWS as well. If I even pulled up a TryHackMe VM, you can see in a TryHackMe VM, you can provide configurations or user scripts when the VM launches. Sometimes those user scripts will have credentials. I'm just trying to remember what that's even called in Azure. So I don't have write permissions. Okay, gotcha. But I seem to have read permissions. I was trying to figure out where to find this information at. I don't think it's IAM access control. What's my access, I guess? Okay, so I'm a reader. So that means we can view all resources but not make any changes. So we should be able to view if there's our cred stored here, which I think there are from when I did this earlier today, but I'm still going off memory a little bit here. I could have swore it was configuration. Oh, look at that. User data. You guys catch that? We have some credentials there. And if we copy this and analyze it a little closer, we have credentials. And let's break this down again. We have our user, security user. We have a password, and this would actually be security user at megabigtech.com. We have a password, And then we have this AZ storage blob. If you're used to AWS, you think about S3 and AWS kind of storage buckets for unstructured data. Well, that's what a storage blob is. And so what this is saying is, hey, when this VM starts up, here's what I want you to do, VM. I want you to use these credentials. And then once you use these credentials, I want you to download a blob from the account name security configs, from the container security PC, and then I want it to be this name, config latest.xml, and I want you to use the auth mode login. So I want you to log in with these credentials. So let's try that ourselves. From the command line, pull PowerShell back up, and we'll do AZ login. We're going to log in as a different user now. We're going to attempt this security user at Megatech. I'm just copying it over from my other screen. We'll do use another account, security user at Mega Big Tech, and we're going to grab that password from that user script, if I could copy it properly. All right, there we go. So far, so good. And we were able to get access. And now we should be able to, I think, just run this command as it stands. Okay, if it would copy. And it worked. So let's look at this config script. What information do we have here? We have some resource group settings, not super interesting for us. We have tenant and subscriptions, alerting settings, go into security alerts. Oh, look at that. Global admin account credentials. So if this was an Azure pen test, this is game over. We have global admin access being stored in the config. Ryan at Mega Big Tech, we have Azure admin. We have some database settings as well. We have our server, Mega Big Tech database, our security DB, our user ID, our password. We have some firewall settings. And I believe from here, the flag is also in the same storage thing. I think it's just flag.txt, but I'll also show it to you in the console how I initially got it. Yeah, so there's the final flag, which you think, how would you know to do that? Well, everything we just did in this container, you can actually do in the console, and it's a lot easier that way, but I like to show you how to do it in both ways. So if we go back over to home here, and if we go to storage accounts, I believe, nope, not storage accounts. Is it just containers? Let's go over here. I could have stored storage accounts. Oh, no, we have to log in as the other user, of course. This user doesn't have access to it. We need to log in as a security user. Hey, we're actually just about done. We're doing Azure hacking right now. We're just about at the end of our scenario we're working on. So from this account that we compromised via that user data script in the Azure VM, we have the security configs. And then from here, if we click containers, we can see security PC and config latest and flag. So this is how I initially found it when I was working through it first. I found the config and I found the flag. You can just click this and click download and get the flag that way as well. We'll copy that. We'll drop the flag in there. And there we go. We just completed the second scenario of the evening. Intro to Azure Recon with Bloodhound. And hey, y'all, we're at about an hour and a half at this time. I don't think I'm going to start another scenario, so I am going to call it a night at this point, but we did do two really cool Azure pen testing scenarios. I learned a lot through the process. We actually took a vanilla VM with no tools installed, set up all the tools on our VM. We have Bloodhound working. We use Azure Hound to grab data. This has been a lot of fun. So thank you all for taking the time to hang out with me. Really do appreciate it. I am going to sign off for the video, but hey, I'll hang out on stream. If you guys have any questions about pen testing, career stuff, feel free to ask them and I'll answer them. But for those of you watching the YouTube video, I do want to say thank you. Hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one. All right, stream. Just me and y'all. Let me see how things are going. We have about 20 people on Twitch, 12 on YouTube, handful on LinkedIn. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I am going to sign off. Nox Lumen says, how different are your work and home environments? Oh, what do you mean? Do you mean my computers, or do you mean like where I work at? Clarify that and I'll answer your question. Is the lab free? I have just joined. Yeah, the lab is completely free, my friend. Let me drop the link to what I'm working on. They do have a subscription option, but I'm not subscribed. So I'm doing just their free labs right now, and I've learned a lot in the process. So I'll drop it in Twitch as well. Check out these labs. I think I'll probably subscribe, and I'll show you some of the premium labs as well. But it was a lot of fun working through them. My computer setups. Okay, good. Good question. So as far as my computer setups go, my personal system, which is what I'm on right now, I don't ever live stream from my work system because I don't want to accidentally expose client data. So my personal system that I'm on right now is Windows 11 desktop computer, like cool, has all the cool lights. I'll show it to you guys. Like, right, has all the cool lights and all that fun stuff. But mainly for gaming, super high-end GPU, but only 16 gigs of RAM. Pretty good processor, all that information. But it's not made to run a bunch of VMs. But Windows is the base system, and then I have Kali as a VM and Windows as a VM on this machine. My work computer, on the other hand, is actually a laptop, but has 32 gigs of RAM, a little bit of a better processor. I don't remember the specific processor, but my work computer runs Ubuntu as the main OS. So like my daily driver for 9 hours of the day is Ubuntu Linux. So that's what I'm honestly more familiar with now over than even Windows. And then on there, I have a bunch of VMs. So on my work computer, Ubuntu OS, I have a Kali VM, a Parrot OS VM, and a Windows VM. Geez, I think a handful of other VMs for some other like mobile pen testing type stuff. Hope that answered your question. As far as the actual setup, oh, you guys can see the end of my fake brick wall. Let me fix my camera. As far as the actual setup, I use all the same monitors. So I have, my VM just closed. I have a 32-inch curved monitor in front of me, and then just two, I think, 20-inch flat screen monitors on both sides of that. And actually, when I'm working, I have a docking station. I just flip all my stuff around to my laptop, and when I'm on my personal computer, I flip everything back to that. So I use the same monitors, same microphone, same setup for work as far as like external things go. Oh, another shout out to Pwn Labs over in Twitch said, Vilmatic said, just stumbled across Pwn Labs a few days ago as I began learning AWS pen testing. Loving the free labs so far. Me too, dude. These are really good labs. Default Sec said, would you recommend the OffSec report template to be good for real world pen test? No. So the reason I say that is like, when you work for a real pen testing company, generally speaking, you'll have your own software for creating really cool looking reports, which is what we have at Rhino. It's only Rhino software developed in-house, but hands down beats all the software I've seen online for making pen test reports. Makes it a lot easier and streamlined to make your report. And something I thought was normal for other pen test companies, but I guess it's pretty rare. Here's how we do things. If you hired me, if your organization hired me for a 5-day pen test, your entire report, probably a 30-page report, you will have by the end of the 5th day. We're very strict about that. Last day of the assessment, we make sure the client has a pen test report in hand that is professional, well done, and looks awesome. But we're able to do that because we have some sweet software on our end that automates some of the look of it, automates some of the vulnerability descriptions, while we still fill out all the detailed information. But it helps us be a lot faster, helps us have cleaner reports and much more professional reports for the clients, and they get it right away. So I believe OffSec, from when I did the OSCP, it's just like a Word template. You would never give a client a Word template. At least I wouldn't. They're paying a lot of money. You should give them a sweet looking report. Do you use QEMU, KVM, or VirtualBox or VMware on Ubuntu? I use VirtualBox on both Ubuntu and Windows for my VMs. Just because that's what I'm used to. I don't have a preference of that over another one. Then do you have any suggestions on a template? Would love to practice some structure to my notes. You know what? That's a good question. So if you have Hack the Box Academy, they have a really great reporting module on there for some suggestions. But I think, here, let me see if I can find it. It's like, there's like a Ghostwriter. Is this what it is? Check this out, dude. Ghostwriter. Ghostwriter is a Django-based web app designed to be used by an individual or a team of red team operators. The platform tracks and manages client and project information, covert infrastructure access, finding templates, report templates, evidence files, and more. So open source, and with this you would be able to generate a pretty professional looking pen test report that you'd be able to hand into a client. I've heard good things about this. So I personally haven't used it, but it seems similar to what we use in-house. Oh, Leon says TCM Academy template's good. I don't know if I've seen that. All right, let me look over at YouTube. Nox Lumens, let me get a drink of water. Nox Lumens said, when you were getting ready for OSCP, did you do any training beforehand? Or did you start off with paying for it and starting the video and labs during the 3 months? Good question. So I was always interested in pen testing. Before then, I probably did about a year of Try Hack Me and Hack the Box. And actually, I was streaming. So you can go back to my previous YouTube videos. I started making YouTube videos long before I sat for the OSCP. So I had some training there. And then, yeah, I paid for the 3-month subscription and didn't even do much of their labs, to be honest. I ended up using Hack the Box Academy and TCM Security for my training. And even though I signed up for 90 days of lab time, I think I took the exam after like 70 days. So I didn't even use a full lab time. And I passed it, of course. So I did have some training there. The best prep, though, for OSCP, like I see TJ Knoll's list, which is really good. But the best training, for my opinion, is Proving Grounds Practice by OffSec. Now, of course, OffSec being OffSec, they want all the freaking money they can possibly get. Paying them $1,600 for 3 months isn't enough. If you want access to Proving Grounds Practice, you have to pay them another $20+ monthly on top of that so they can milk all the money out of you as possible. But what I did is 1 month before taking the exam, I subscribed for 1 month to Proving Grounds Practice for $20 and banged out a bunch of their machines on there. On Proving Grounds Practice, you get access to retired OSCP machines, and you get access to machines designed by OffSec themselves, and I found those to be almost identical to what I encountered on the exam. Birdman said, I appreciate your content. Fairly new to cybersecurity. Definitely learned a lot from your channel. Thank you. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm bad at saying, like, I'm not a good at the influencer smash the subscribe button stuff. So if you guys haven't, smash that subscribe button, make sure you do it. And don't get me started on cybersecurity influencers as well. I'll go on a tangent, get my YouTube video shut down. Is Obsidian good for a pen test report? Obsidian GreenNet is good for taking notes. I don't know if it would be good for an actual report, but I don't use Obsidian, so I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm not sure what power Obsidian has for actually generating a professional report. No, Andre, I can't. Leon over on Twitch said, Obsidian is good, but it requires a lot of work. Default Sec, I'm going to promote your channel on my blog. Well, thank you, dude. Send me a link to your blog. Hey, actually, if Twitch allows you, Default Sec, what's the name of your blog? Let me pull it up on stream. I want to look at it. You may not be able to post the link to it, but if you can give me, like, the title of your blog, I can do some Googling and see if I can find it real quick. I keep clicking the wrong button. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to throw up the 5-minute countdown. Okay, cool. He dropped the link to his blog. Let's check it out. So, Proving Grounds Play GreenNet is just Vulnhub, I think, actually. All its Proving Grounds practices is taking Vulnhub machines that you can download yourself and just hosting in the cloud for you. These are not created by OffSec, so they might be helpful, they might not be, but good practice for OSCP is going to be Proving Grounds Practice, the paid subscription, unfortunately. Okay, so this is Default Sec's blog. Sweet, dude. Got some write-ups. Oh, Dreaming. I think that's the room I rage quit, dude. Awesome job completing it. Let's check these out. All right, cybersecurity is a practice of protecting systems, networks, programs from digital attacks. Yeah, good stuff. The black hats. All right, these are the guys with the black hoodies. This is what I would be. I'd be a white hat hacker. I'm not a gray hat. Oh, I have to create an account? I'll have to do that later. Yeah, I'm not a gray hat. I'm only a white hat. I don't do anything illegal in my hacking endeavors. Good stuff though, Default Sec. I'm gonna check this out more. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so there's a GitHub report with pen test reports. Let's check that out. Public pen testing reports. Let's download some of these and look at them. Yeah, I don't have a white hat. All I wear is a black hoodie. Oh, so these are the names of the companies. Okay. That's Bishop Fox is legit.
Voices going through my head. These voices telling me what I said about you.
Alright, I'll tell you guys what I think about this. Yeah, GreenNet, I'm on stream all the time, my friend. You'll just subscribe to my channel, you'll see me. Yeah, good table of contents. Summary, that's good. Rhino's reports look cooler, I'm just telling you. So this is like an overall summary here saying, hey, here's everything we did. Summary of findings. Identified issues. Okay, so this is key. A definition, the detail. You should have a POC, which I think we have a POC. You should have suggested remediation as well. I like this. They put it in code block, so it's really easy for the blue team to reproduce it on their end instead of just screenshots. Affected files. Business impact. Okay, recommendations. That's good. If I was QAing this report, I would tell them to jump this to the next page. Like small things like this is what we really focus on at Rhino. And like at Rhino, the way it works is once I have a pen test done, or the report done, I'll post it for QA, and then 2 other pen testers have to fully review my report, and they leave a bunch of comments of things that we fixed. And here would be like one comment, like this should be jumped down to the next page. Let me show you guys like a Rhino one. I think I can get oh, sample pen test report. This might be a pretty old one though. I'm not sure how helpful it's gonna be. Okay, yeah, so it looks pretty legit. Let me see. Can I make it full screen? I don't know if I can make it full screen. But here's kind of what it looked like from Rhino. We just have the name of the assessment report, the client name, the key person, the date, and everything here. Here we would have a bunch of information here. You can see this is outdated. Hector. So guys, Hector used to work at Rhino. If you recognize that name, you'd a real MVP. Hector was the leader of LulzSec. Do you guys remember LulzSec? So Hector was the leader of LulzSec and Anonymous in 2012 when they were big and was sentenced to federal prison. When he got out of prison, he worked at Rhino Security Labs as a pen tester. So I might tell the team we probably need to update this because he's not even at Rhino anymore. Yeah, Andre. So we have the assessment team, project manager, and then, oh, it's not scrolling. Do I just have to use the arrow keys? Okay. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys. And then we have the assessment scope summary, so the time frame and the engagement, internal scope, and actually what this one is missing, usually right here we say the number of days the engagement was. We have an engagement overview. We have the assessment team. You'll have a description, like if it was me, you'll have a description right there. Here's our process and methodology, scoping and rules of engagement, IP addresses that are in scope, and then we give this, like the overall risk rating based on what we found. This one's going to be a critical. We always give a summary of strengths, a summary of weaknesses, and strategic recommendations to help the organization increase their security posture. And then we have, this is a narrative saying here are some of the big findings we found. That's kind of an overall storytelling of what we found. We have our summary vulnerability table. Here's like the key. It's a very quick overview of here's all the vulnerabilities you found in your environment, and you can kind of go through here. It has a one line vulnerability and then a one line suggested remediation, and then you'll be able to go through all these, right? We have a description, affected hosts, remediation, testing process, POC, like all the affected hosts. So this is kind of what a Rhino pen test report looks like, although this is quite a bit outdated. Our current pen test reports look even cooler than that. But just to give you an idea of what Rhino looks like, I'm telling you guys, I think our reports are the coolest looking reports of the things I've seen. Yeah, Ken, we have a good report automation solution. We don't make this all in Word. We actually have software developers on staff at Rhino, and a big part of what they do is they work on this internal software. It's not available to anyone else. It's developed by us. It's developed by Rhino. I know we even considered like licensing it and trying to sell it to other pen test companies because it is really well done. But then, we'd have to bring on a bunch more developers to do bug fixes. So it's internal only. It's not going to be shared. But yeah, it's by Rhino for Rhino. You guys can't see it. You can only see the results of it. But it makes pen testing really nice, and it gives you really good looking reports every single time. Yeah, Leon has a similar thing. Most pen testing companies you work at least like ones that are legit, will have their own software to do this. Oh, he said his software's bad. Our software's awesome, dude. Okay, any other questions y'all might have? I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll sign off for the evening. But this is one of the benefits of joining for the live stream. Oh, I do have some questions on YouTube. GreenNet said, "Hey, Tyler. At what time and days do you normally stream? Today I caught your stream because I wake up early. If I know the time, I can wake up and tune in. We live in different time zones. Generally speaking, I'm on stream whenever I get my kids to bed. So that's about 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. You'll usually catch me on stream on Wednesdays for sure. Sometimes Tuesdays, sometimes Fridays. But Wednesdays are the day I try to always be consistent." Nox Lumen says, "When you started assessments at Rhino, did you have someone shadow you or were you set free?" I shadowed someone else. So I actually shadowed my friend David Cuts Marks. You may have, if you follow Rhino on LinkedIn, you may have seen a post about him. But yeah, I shadowed him for a week or 2 weeks doing web apps, and then was kind of released on my own. Generally, Rhino isn't going to hire you if you're not at a decent skill level. So actually, I have a whole video on my channel about when Rhino told me no. So like, long story short, my good friend Nate, in real life friend, grew up together, got hired at Rhino. I was looking for a pen testing job, and I emailed Rhino saying, "Yo, you hired my friend Nate. You guys should hire me too, right?" And I did the initial interview, and I passed that one. The second interview was with super intimidating. The second interview was with the CEO of Rhino and founder, Ben. And I thought I did okay, but after that interview, I got an email from Ben just a couple hours later. And when you get an interview a couple hours later, or email, it's probably not a good thing. In the email, he said, "Hey, it was nice meeting you, but you're not at the level we're looking for a pen tester." And I was crushed, But he said, "We see a lot of good qualities in you. Would love to talk to you maybe in a few weeks and we can chat." And I wasn't going to pursue it, to be honest with you. So when I got that email, I was about 3 or 4 weeks away from taking the OSCP. So my initial reaction was like, all right, screw this company. I'm going to take my OSCP and whatever. They don't think I'm good enough. I'll go be a pen tester somewhere else and prove them wrong. But then I was talking to my friend Amoeba Man, whom you may know from Try Hack Me. He's the one who made the Red Team Capstone Network and all those networks. And he told me, hey, the fact that they even responded to you and they also offered me feedback, like ways to improve. He said, they sound like a solid company. You should just like do a bunch of stuff and then meet with them and see what their thoughts are. So I think I had a 1 week period before the next meeting I was going to have, or maybe it was 2 weeks. And I did like the Juice Shop application. I wrote a pen test report on it. I went through a bunch of labs on Portswigger Academy to up my web app pen testing skills. I documented everything. And then in my meeting with them, I just showed them like, yo, you guys gave me these couple of days to learn. Here's everything I did. Here's all the things I learned. I actually downloaded their pen test. Like I just showed you guys online. I downloaded their report. I used the Juice Shop application. And then I tried to make my report the same as theirs with all the same information on the Juice Shop application. So I made my own pen test report. And I told them like, look, I know I'm not at the technical level you need me to be, but if you hire me, I can clearly show you that I can learn and I can grind things out until I figure it out. And I changed their mind. They hired me as a result of that. And I was at Rhino for 1 year, and then I got promoted to mid-level or career pen tester. So not only did I get hired, I got promoted after only a year, which usually takes, 2 to 3 years before you get to that level. So the grind, the hard work does pay off. Andre said, not biased at all. Oh, yeah, I think you're talking about the reports. You're right. Totally not biased at all. Do I have a free resource to check Who Is History? Not that comes to mind right away. Do you have one that you recommend? How big is the company? Rhino's pretty small. We have, oh gosh, like as far as pen testers, we have like 6 pen testers. 6 pen testers, project manager, CEO, a couple of developers. So yeah, pretty small, which is cool. Like the nice thing about a small company is, so Rhino was founded in, I think, I'm going to get this wrong, 2012, 2013, I think. And so, in some ways we still operate like a startup. Everyone's super open. Like I meet with Ben, the founder CEO, for one-on-ones all the time. And I have a direct connection to Ben easily and everybody else on the team. There's none of that silly bureaucracy of bigger companies, but Rhino's also at a spot now where we're really well known in the industry. We're a successful company. So like we have sweet benefits. The pay is awesome. For those of you who live in the US, you'll understand how great this is. So my pay is awesome. But on top of that, guys, Rhino pays for health insurance for my entire family at the platinum level. So if you know health insurance in the US, it's super expensive. And usually if you have employer provided health insurance, it's okay, but it's usually pretty terrible. At Rhino, I get the best health insurance you can get in my state, the platinum level that covers almost everything. I pay nothing for it. Rhino covers all the premiums for my entire family. I pay nothing for health insurance. It's all covered by Rhino. Paychecks covered. DEF CON, we get to go to DEF CON every year. All my travel's covered. All my food's covered. All my, like, the plane's covered. It's awesome. My Uber's covered. I feel like a rock star working there. It's an awesome place. Leanne says, I do consider Rhino up there with best pen testing companies. No. Here's how it goes. It's Rhino, and then other it goes Rhino's up here. Then you have Black Hills, InfoSec, and TCM Security battling for second, and then you guys can figure out the rest. We're the top of the pyramid. Mike Firo said, I proved myself by talking to my boss what I was doing, told him straight up I'm self-teaching myself and trying to catch up, showed him some JSON talk and finished and passed Google cybersecurity. Awesome job, Mike. That's exactly the way to do it. Mario said, I always check their careers page for that one day I can apply. I think now, don't quote me because I'm not part of these conversations, at least not closely, but I think Rhino will be hiring 1 or 2 more pen testers this year. So stay tuned to the career page. If you just follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see it posted there. Honestly, when they have a job posting for a pen tester, I'll probably make a YouTube video and encourage people to apply. But I think we'll be hiring 1 or 2 more pen testers this year to keep up with growth. Might be wrong, but I think that's going to be the case. The other cool thing, guys, about pen testing, at least for me, depending on where you work as a security consultant, it can sometimes require a lot of travel, especially at the associate level, which is what I was hired in at. The associates have to travel all around and do a bunch of things like that, which can be cool if you don't have a wife and kids. Like I have a wife and 2 young kids. I don't want to be traveling around the United States constantly doing pen tests. The cool thing about Rhino is it's fully remote. Travel is very, very rare, and really it's only if you want to. So when we have on-site physical engagements, they'll just be like, hey, do you want to go? And there's always a handful of people who say yes, and you don't ever have to travel. The only required travel is DEF CON. Other than that, 100% of my work is right here, chilling in my basement, hacking stuff. Rhino hires from Canada. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think we do. Because so the tough thing about pen testing companies. Yeah, I know Rhino has hired people internationally before, but I think we've had issues throughout the process with clients and data sovereignty type things. So as of now, Rhino only hires US citizens because of that. But you never know, that might change. And once again, I'm not part of those conversations, so I also don't want to speak for Rhino. I could be completely incorrect in how I'm explaining that. All right, any other questions, y'all? Let me refresh LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, I apologize if you comment stuff because I can't see unless I refresh. Okay, I do have a couple of questions on LinkedIn. I apologize, Adam, if you're not still here. He said, I want to be a pen tester like you. What are entry-level roles you'd recommend I apply for so I can be on the pen testing path? SOC, vulnerability assessment. More than even applying for entry-level roles, get the OSCP. As much as I dislike OffSec as an organization, OSCP is going to open the most doors. If you want to be a pen tester, OSCP is more important than a bachelor's degree, more important than even a master's degree, because it shows you know how to hack. So if you want to be a pen tester, get the OSCP. Once you have the OSCP, just start applying for actual pen testing jobs. Don't even try to apply for SOC or IT help desk. I don't think you need other jobs first. SOC would be a good step way into it, and the OSCP is going to open doors on both sides of it. Yeah, Ken. So the way it works at most pen testing companies is you have associate level, career level, and senior level, and then principal level. That's just how it kind of works at a pen testing firm. And the difference between them is like at a career level, you do a lot more hands-on research. So you guys may have seen the CVEs I released and a lot of the research I do. That's what you don't, at an associates, you're more focused on learning. At a career level, you're a lot more focused on giving back and helping the overall structure of the team and overall research. So there is some clear differences between associate and career level and senior level. So that's why we have those distinctions. All right, y'all. Oh, I wonder if my country will qualify. I'm part of the U.S. Sometimes we get treated as internationals. Well, if you're part of the U.S., I'd assume, yeah, you're good. Do they suck? Salaries there for IT? That sucks, dude. Yeah, like the sweet thing about working at a Rhino, guys, is I live in South Dakota. I don't know if you guys have ever been to South Dakota, but there's nothing here. More cows than people. I live in a rural community of 1,000 people. We have like one grocery store, and our restaurants consist of 2 bars. So very low cost of living, but I'm paid a Seattle tech salary. So it works out really well here in South Dakota. Jeffrey said, getting ready for CCDC and your AWS videos have been so helpful. Thank you for the kind words. All right, y'all. I'm going to call it a night now. What time is it? About 10 o'clock? That means I have some time to play Elder Scrolls Online. Maybe I'll become a gaming streamer as well, like hacking streamer. And then when I'm done hacking, I'll game stream on my, hack. Instead of Hack Smarter, it would be the Game Smarter channel. And you guys can watch me play video games. I'll be the next Asmongold, but the cleaner house. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out, though. Do appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.